So let's add our first sound to this level then. I want to find my first person controller, so I'm just going to double click to go over there. Maybe double click on the camera. Will that take me any closer? No. If for example you've clicked on it and you're really far away, just ensure that you've clicked on it and press F. It should frame the object, but for some reason it didn't. Okay, so this is roughly where I'm starting. So I want a sound to be relatively close to where I start. And I am going to be moving my character later onto the beach. So I probably want a sound around here. So what I'm going to do is click Game Object. In fact, let me go all the way down to the bottom. Game Object, and I just want to create a 3D object and a cube. Okay, let me place it around here. So Game Object, align with View. Alright, so now the cube is there. Okay, this is simply so that we can visualize where the sound is. Okay, so once we've got our cube in place, let's call this one intro sound, since that's what it's going to be. And I'm just going to take this intro sound and drag it onto sounds. Okay, so we don't need a box collider. I'm going to remove that, and we don't need a mesh renderer. I'm going to remove that, and we don't need this mesh filter either. So what we're left with basically is an empty game object. So we've visualized where it is in 3D space, and then we make it into a completely empty game object. If you want to see it, because at the moment it's invisible, you can, if you like, give it some sort of a tag. So you can click on there, and then obviously that shows you where it is. Intro sound. Alright, if you didn't want that, obviously you could just click none to get rid of that. Okay, so with this intro sound selected, we're going to go to Component, Audio, and Audio Source. Okay, and that's going to add all of this dialogue. Now the first sound that I want is actually Ambience Bell. Okay, now let me find that. Okay, so it's not under this one, it's not under the horror SFX, it's actually under the horror elements. Ambient Bell. Alright, and I think this one sounds really great. Okay, so I'm going to click and drag that into the audio clip slot there. Okay, there we go. Play on awake, basically it's going to play when it starts. I don't want this one to loop, I want this to be a once only. Okay, the priority is, the higher the priority means that it will definitely play. The lower the priority means that it may very well not play. If you've got loads and loads of sounds in your level, the computer prioritizes which sounds are the most important. Volume, obviously you can play around with that, pitch, etc., stereo pan. Now the spatial blend is quite important. It can either be a 2D sound or a 3D sound. So if it's a 2D sound, it means it's going to be heard anywhere across your game at the exact same volume. So it doesn't matter how far away you are from this sound. Whereas once you make it 3D, it becomes 3D spatial. So as you get closer to the sound, it becomes louder. The further you walk away from it, it gets quieter. And that's what this 3D sound settings is all about here. But this first sound, I'm actually going to leave it at 2D. I don't want it to get quieter as you walk away. Great, so that is all set up there. Now the issue with this audio file, when I just zoom in here and we take a look at this, I'm just going to drag it over here so that we can see it. When it gets to the end, it doesn't fade out, it just stops. Okay, which is a bit of an issue really. So I'd probably want something like, oh, it's playing, I think. Probably want something like about 11 seconds worth, I think. Yeah, because it's currently 27 seconds in length. I think I want up to about 11 seconds and then for it to fade out after that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fade this sound out inside of Unity by placing it onto the timeline. So window, sequencing, timeline. Let me just drag that down here. So we've already got our lighthouse animation there. Now this is where we want our sound to fade out. So we're going to click Add Animation Track, and we're going to drag this intro sound onto there. I'm going to create an animator on there, that's fine. I'm going to press Record. Okay, now that we've pressed Record, we can actually go back to our intro sound, and we can now go to our volume. We want our volume still to be at 1 at that point, so just drag it to 1. I'm going to go all the way back to 0, just basically move it and then drag it back to 1 to set a keyframe. Now I want it to fade out to about roughly 14 seconds. So at 14, I'm now just going to drag the volume all the way down to 0. Okay, so I've just created a fade out on that audio, and I'm going to convert that into a clip track. Great, and that is Post Extrapolate is on hold for infinity, so it's not going to repeat loop it. It's basically just going to play once, fade out, and that's it. Okay, and that's exactly what I want.